Scott Holiday here, and welcome back to Plus 2 Wrestling. I'm continuing my Sisyphean task of running the greatest, dumbest wrestling tournament of all time. And it continues to be dumb, but continues to be great. There are quite a few wrestlers who have kind of grabbed hold of this and have been pushing to have their match actually happen. And if I can raise one ship with this tournament, then this has all been worth it. So if I can get Luca Mancini a match with Johnny TV, it's worth it. If I can get Sam Adonis a match with Ricochet, then it's all worth it. You can see all 512 first round matches in the links down below. Let me know what you think, which ones are going to happen, who's going to win the tournament. I want to hear it. And let's plug in. Saturday, October 19th at 2 p.m. at The Shelter in Howell, New Jersey. High Tension Wrestling does not present Smash Yard again. Now that High Tension Wrestling is fully owned and controlled by Wild LLC, former owner is now presenting a brand new promotion. Alex Kilowatt presents WHW, and he is presenting this new product with a dream match. It is a Death Wish death match, as fresh from his involvement from Tournament of Death, JJ Allen, aka JJ Escobar, goes one-on-one with the Heartbroken Kid, CC Boost. It is a battle of the ski masks at Smash Yard again. You're not going to want to miss this one, so be sure you go to the High Tension Twitter page while it is still under Alex's control and get your details there. Saturday, October 26th, CZW presents 570 at the Rich Theater in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Yes, CZW is going into the Electric City, and there you will see the man with the plan, the Brian Kendrick, go one-on-one with the hometown boy, Samuel Thompson. Well, as one-on-one as it can be when Valerie Verman is at ringside. This is going to be a show you don't want to miss, so be sure to join us at the Rich Theater. That's 222 Wyoming Ave in Scranton, Pennsylvania. The doors open at 6 o'clock. The bell rings at 7. And you know what? I'll see you there. I can say it. I can finally say it. Turn up your speakers right now, because I'm finally going to get to say it. Tournament of Death 21 is now streaming on Independent Wrestling TV. You can head on over to iwtv.live or independentwrestling.tv right now, and you can see Tournament of Death 21. Tournament of Death is old enough to drink. I'm on the call, and you can watch the whole event right now or after this video, which is what I'd prefer. Today on the Soapbox, I want to talk to you about the most infamous stipulation in wrestling history. I want to talk to you about a stipulation that happened back in 1997 on October 5th at Bad Blood in Your House. Yeah, it was an In Your House pay-per-view. Isn't that weird? Isn't it weird to say that an In Your House pay-per-view had the debut of one of the most infamous matches of all time? But it's true, because that is where Shawn Michaels met The Undertaker for the first time inside of the Devil's Playground, inside of Hell in the Cell. It was an insane affair, a large cage that wasn't butt up against the ring, so it allowed you to spill outside of the ring, but you could never truly escape your opponent, as these 4 mesh walls contained you with a lid on top. There was a roof to it. And of course, Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker found their way out the door and on top of the cell. And I still have that image of Shawn Michaels plummeting off the side of the cell through a steel table, a moment that lives rent-free in my mind. And now 27 years later, exactly 27 years later, October 5th, 2024, it is the return of Hell in the Cell. CM Punk battled Drew McIntyre in a bloody affair, a rare thing to say in the WWE these days. And this was the 53rd Hell in the Cell. And it would seem that October 5th is a very important day in the history of the Hell in the Cell. The essence and the beginning of the story is October 5th for Hell in the Cell, but I don't think that is the most important day in Hell in the Cell history. Today, I want to talk to you about what I believe to be the most important day in the history of Hell in the Cell. So since its inception in 1997, with the exclusion of the occasional no contest that popped up on Raw, you got one Hell in the Cell a year. Except in 2002. In 2002, there was Brock and Taker and Chris Jericho and Triple H in the same year. But for the most part, you got one a year because the WWE had created this big, expensive structure that they knew drew money and that fans were interested in, so they wanted to bring out their big fancy toy at least once a year and make a couple dollars off of it. And the thing about the Hell in the Cell at this time was it was a feud ender. The Hell in the Cell was almost said in hushed tones because when individuals entered Hell in the Cell, they didn't leave the same. It wasn't two men enter, one man leaves. It's two men enter, and two men are carried away. Hell in the Cell was an ominous structure that only truly horrible feuds would cease to be inside the cell. That is until the most important date in the history of Hell in the Cell took place. And that date is October 4th, 2009. The day of the first ever Hell in the Cell pay-per-view. They built an entire pay-per-view around the match stipulation of Hell in the Cell, which makes sense. A lot of pay-per-views are built around a single stipulation. One of the biggest pay-per-views of the year is the Royal Rumble, because you know you're going to see a Royal Rumble match. And it doesn't even matter who's in that match. You're going to go see the Royal Rumble because it's the Royal Rumble. And they had the same thing with Hell in the Cell. You could tell fans, hey, there's going to be a Hell in the Cell match. And that would sell it enough to make someone buy a ticket. I want to see a Hell in the Cell match. I know what's going to go down when people enter the cell. I want to go to that pay-per-view. But when you build the entire show around the stipulation instead of the story, you have to deliver on the stipulation. So while there's only been 1 year where there's been 2 Hell in the Cell matches, for the first time there will be 3 Hell in the Cell matches in a single night. 3 Hell in the Cell matches took place on October 4th, 2009, and that forced the WWE into a bit of a difficult situation. They needed to create 3 Hell in the Cell matches. They all needed to be different. You can't just have the same match over and over again. There needs to be 3 different Hell in the Cell matches that stand out and do different things. And I went back and I looked over the cage match rankings for this event. It currently has a 5.16 overall out of 10 today. Back in 2009, when this event happened, it was even lower, 4.72. Fans did not enjoy this event and did not think it delivered on its promises. But I'm actually going to sit here and tell you right now that this is a very well-booked pay-per-view. I'm only going to look at the Hell in the Cell matches because that's what we're talking about, but this is a well-booked event. CM Punk versus The Undertaker. CM Punk is defending the World Heavyweight Championship against the Phenom, The Undertaker, inside Hell in the Cell. And I actually think the booking of this is pretty good. See, this is a rematch after Breaking Point, the submission-based stipulation pay-per-view that they had put on the month before. This is during the era where every pay-per-view was built around a particular stipulation. This one was Breaking Point, and it was a submission match that took place in Canada, and CM Punk beat The Undertaker. How do you think it ended? How do you think the submission match where the heel steals the victory in Canada went? So they do the Montreal screw job, basically. They have a referee ring the bell early, even though The Undertaker does not give up, and CM Punk escapes with the title. This justifies a rematch that The Undertaker got screwed out of his chance to become champion and thus deserves another shot. But not just deserves another shot. CM Punk blatantly cheated. He stole that title away from The Undertaker. The Undertaker deserves something more. He deserves to be in a match that is his specialty. And The Undertaker's specialty match is Hell in the Cell. This is their way of, justifying the fact that this will be a Hell in the Cell match, is because of what CM Punk did to The Undertaker. The Undertaker deserves to have the advantage going into this match. And I don't want to hear that The Undertaker's specialty match is Buried Alive. It's not. The Undertaker's actually really bad at Buried Alive matches. Like, even when he wins, he usually still gets buried alive. He's terrible at it. So his specialty match is the Hell in the Cell. So it makes sense, and it's going to set it apart from the other two Hell in the Cell matches. It's not the specialty of any other competitor heading into the cell. So that's what makes this Hell in the Cell match special. How is CM Punk going to worm his way out of a match that The Undertaker has mastered? It's good booking. John Cena versus Randy Orton. I would love to keep this video kind of positive, but this one's not as good in terms of booking. I see what they're trying to do, they just don't do it right. The justification for the Hell in the Cell in John Cena versus Randy Orton is Randy Orton doesn't want to wrestle John Cena. He keeps running away. He just won't wrestle him. John Cena just wants to get his hands on Randy Orton so bad, but Randy Orton just keeps getting away. So they need to be confined inside of the cell. Because John Cena's upset. John Cena wrestled Randy Orton at Breaking Point in the most devious version of a submission match. Yes, I quit. And in this match, Randy Orton decimated John Cena. At one point, John Cena is handcuffed with his hands over his head on the turnbuckle. And Randy Orton takes a kendo stick and just full pinatas his abs for quite some time. And an exhausted John Cena just keeps sighing into the microphone. No, I don't quit. And this continued over and over again until John Cena went Super Cena and handcuffed himself to Randy Orton and beat him with the old STF. What? John Cena won. Like, I understand he's mad, but why would the challenger for the championship not want to fight the champion? On top of that, Randy Orton wins this match in Hell in the Cell. Randy Orton will become the new champion in this match. And there's like a moment where Randy Orton tries to run away, but the cell comes down and he's unable to escape. But why do it this way? Wouldn't it make more sense if Orton won at Breaking Point? and Cena wants another opportunity to get that title back, and Randy Orton keeps dodging him, but there's going to be no escape for the champion when he's locked in Hell in the Cell with John Cena. Doesn't that make more sense? I understand that they probably felt like they couldn't do the submission screw job finish twice in the same pay-per-view. But this is a mistake. Wouldn't it have made more sense to have Orton screw Cena, win the title, then have Punk lose at breaking point and say, I want one more chance at that title, and have The Undertaker say, if you want one more shot at this title, it'll be Hell in a Cell. Doesn't that make more sense? Like, the justifications here are a competitor trying to run away and a competitor being a specialist at this one match. These both make sense from a storytelling perspective. It's just being implemented in the wrong way here. DX versus Legacy. This is a very unique situation as we have Triple H and Shawn Michaels taking on Ted DiBiase Jr. and who's the other guy in Legacy? Cody Rhodes. That's right, Cody Rhodes. Whatever happened to him? In any case, we have Legacy versus DX inside Hell in a Cell. Again, at breaking point, we had the first, and I believe only, tag team submissions count anywhere match. That's what they did. And it's a decent match. It's a lot of fun. Basically, they're spilling out all over the arena, which is usually a brawl, but then they slop on the figure four just in the middle of the hallway of the stadium. It's fun. It's a fun match. It's a fun match because it's DX, it's Legacy, there's a lot of shenanigans. It's fun. But it's telling the story that the hatred between these two teams is so extreme that the ring cannot contain them. The last time they fought, they nearly tore down the whole arena. We need a way to keep them in the ring for the safety of the fans at this point. So, let's throw them in a giant cage with a lid. It makes sense. These are all logical booking decisions. The idea that this match deserved a rematch based on what happened at breaking point, I believe they get Shawn Michaels alone and Triple H tries to go for the save, but Shawn Michaels is just in too much pain as he's in two submissions at the same time and he just has to tap out. And now DX wants revenge. It all makes sense that it would culminate inside Hell in a Cell. So why is this date so important? So I've explained to you why this pay-per-view is actually pretty smartly booked. They justified 3 Hell in the Cell matches. And on top of that, each Hell in the Cell is unique. You have the first Hell in the Cell, which is a screwed over babyface getting his hands on the heel who stole the title away from him in his specialty match. You have a heel who wants to avoid confrontation with the one man that he knows can beat him and keeps trying to run away, locked in and forced to deal with his consequences. And you have 2 tag teams that are so bent on destruction that they'll tear down the whole building if they're not locked inside that cell. This all makes sense from a booking and storytelling point of view. But this is the problem. This date is so important in the history of Hell in the Cell because this is the day that Hell in the Cell died. You see, before this pay-per-view, Hell in the Cell had something special. And it wasn't because of the way it was booked. It wasn't the stories being told. It was the things that the people who entered it were willing to sacrifice and do to their own bodies to make that match special. That match was special because of people like The Undertaker, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Mick Foley. They were doing very dangerous things, all in the attempt to entertain the WWE Universe. That is what gave it the moniker of being a sadistic structure. Yeah, sure, I'm sure someone came up with that catchy slogan, but it wasn't the slogan that made it the sadistic structure. It's the thing that those wrestlers did inside of it that gave it that legacy. This is advertising you can't buy. This is storytelling that you can't write. This is something that was felt by every fan who witnessed a Hell in the Cell. And at this pay-per-view, it went from this infamous structure to a plot point. It was a thing that they had to justify. It became just another stipulation. It was really, at this point, no different than a cage match. What it was designed to do was just be a structure, not the fact that it had this legacy of destroying careers. It wasn't about wins and losses when you entered the cell. It was about destroying someone that you wanted to destroy. The first two Hell in the Cell matches, not counting the ones on Raw, stop making a comment, the first two Hell in the Cell matches are not for titles. Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker at the very first Bad Blood, that was a number one contenders match, but it was more about the fact that The Undertaker and the Shawn Michaels had all these matches where they could not get a winner. They kept having countouts and disqualifications because they kept destroying one another. And they had to do something to make sure we had a winner. The Undertaker versus Mick Foley is one of the most legendary feuds in all of professional wrestling. They had some of the most horrific matches ever. And to be honest, their match at King of the Ring was kind of after the feud had soured. Like, if this was, Battle of the Brands, it would have been a thumbs down at this point, because we had seen enough Undertaker versus Mankind. It was kind of a rehashing. But those two characters, they had that connection where they were just always at odds and wanting to destroy one another. And they created something incredible. And now, we just need to have it every year. And after this pay-per-view, the Hell in the Cell lost what made it special. Because it became about having a Hell in the Cell match, not the individuals ending their story. I mean, think about it this way. There will be 2 rematches from Hell in the Cell at the next pay-per-view. The next pay-per-view is Bragging Rights, and CM Punk will get a rematch with The Undertaker in a 4-way along with Batista and Rey Mysterio. Randy Orton, he has to defend his title against John Cena in a no-holds-barred Iron Man match. So this feud wasn't ended. It was just another stepping stone in the never-ending story of the WWE. You've lost the magic of the Cell. The Hell in the Cell died that day. But I will say, I felt that magic again when I watched Drew McIntyre face CM Punk. And that's not to say that there hasn't been good Hell in the Cells since then. There's been a couple ones that are really enjoyable. But that magic of 2 competitors putting it all on the line, having a match where neither can truly walk away unscathed, felt that. So I'm glad to see the Hell in the Cell back. Hopefully we don't see it return too soon. But when it does return, I hope that version returns. So that's my thoughts. That's the day that Hell in the Cell died. What do you think? Leave your thoughts on your favorite Hell in the Cell match in the comments down below. Like I say, I try to respond to every comment, so if you leave something down there, I'll probably say something back to you. If not, I'll say it in the video. Hi guys, thank you so much for commenting. And while you're down there, if you could go ahead and subscribe, really appreciate it. And I hope you have a great day.